What's going on, guys? Today we're gonna finally talk about AI and how we can use it in the Pokemon investing scene, right? To become even more evil investors, right? So, if you're not aware, DeepSeek, new thing came out. China finally crashing, the Nasdaq, putting Nvidia in their place. I'm honestly not surprised. It's not like it's a huge thing. It's just that they've kind of shown us that. Well, you don't need tons and tons and tons and tons of money to actually get these kind of AI tools running. And maybe that these certain companies were maybe asking for a little bit too much money. Maybe they didn't need so much of that money, and we were maybe investing a little bit too heavy, and they're just not being as efficient as they should be. So, was messing with DeepSeek a little bit this morning. It's having some problems just because there's so much traffic on it right now, especially just the app. And I'm by no means like a programmer or anything, but I wanted to at least kind of bring it to your guys' attention and maybe help some of you newer or older folks who don't maybe understand AI and how you can use AI to help you with your Pokemon. Now, a lot of you are gonna kind of off the bat assume that this is some sort of magical tool that's gonna do it. At least for me, it's not there yet. I'm sure there's guys who are way more complicated and I've got friends with degrees in this stuff who explain it to me. Tons of engineer friends and stuff, so I get my advice from them. But what I really have been using AI for, and what I want to kind of help you guys understand with AI, is more so with data collecting. I find AI to be very helpful when it comes to just trying to collect data, numbers, information, and just information gathering on certain things without me having to scroll through 50,000 websites. What AI isn't is some oracle that you can ask these subjective questions to and get these magical answers. And what do I mean by that? For example, I'll give you guys a good example. You can't just go and ask DeepSeek or Grok, what's the best Pokemon set? I can just tell you, if you ask them, what these things do is they just scour the internet, guys. They're just scouring thousands of web pages, Reddits, forums, whatever. If you ask a question like that, and it's basically just going to spit at you a bunch of subjective, well, people think it's evolving skies, people think it's this, people think it's this, people think it's that, right? Because that's all it can do. But if you ask it a more in-depth question like, hey, go scan eBay sold listings and tell me what the top 5 selling Pokemon sets were on eBay from 2023 to 2024. Now that is going to get you some actual factual hard data. And then, so it's like a tool, guys, right? Any tool is as strong or as useful as the person using it, right? Some person could take a hammer and build a house, while another guy could take a hammer and just bash himself in the head with it, right? So, that's kind of the main thing I want to stress to people is that these tools are, you really have to be specific with what you're asking. And essentially what you need to do is be able to take the data and then kind of extrapolate the point you're trying to get to, right? So instead of saying, what's the best booster box in Pokemon? Well, you could ask, well, what's the best selling sets on eBay over the last 2 years? And then you could look at those and then kind of go, okay, well, you can start extracting and then ask more questions. You could take data points to then come to that conclusion. For example, because I just wanted to see like what it would spit out at me, right? Like I asked it, what are the top 3 singles of 2025? And it says that the number 1 single right now is the Charizard from the McDonald's set, which, do any of us really believe that? No, but it probably has the most news articles. You know what I mean? So there's probably certain parameters that it hit in that overarching question. Like it probably has the most search results or something, right? That's triggering it to think that that's the number 1 card, when we know it's obviously like the new Umbreon or whatever from Evolutions, or whatever. We know it's not that Charizard, right? Like at least I assume that the McDonald's Charizard isn't the most popular Pokemon right now. But what do I know? AI may know better than I do. But so the main point of this video, guys, is while these tools are amazing, you really got to be careful with how you're using them. I'll give you an idea too. I think the third Pokemon it listed as the most popular was one of the Ogerpon masks from Twilight Masquerade. And my guess is that there's so much chatter about how dumb the masks were, or there was so much just talk online of this card maybe, or maybe it was a super playable card where it deemed that this one of the Ogerpon masks from Twilight Masquerade was the third most popular card in the last, what was it? I think I put from 2024 to 2025 for that one. So it's very interesting how it gets these data points. So like I would be very careful what you're typing. You need to be very specific about what you're typing. Another thing, for example, this one, I switched over to Grok just because DeepSeek wasn't, I was trying to compare Grok and DeepSeek and like see what answers they were giving me. And I hadn't used Grok in a while, but I found it interesting. I'll post a screenshot. It gives you kind of two results to kind of test itself, I guess. I'm not sure if it's, running two different versions or what. But if you look here, I basically asked it the top selling sets, Pokemon sets on TCG Player from 2024 to 2025. Now, what I find interesting is how would it get this data exactly? Like, can it get into the API or whatever of TCG Player? Because if you go to the graphs and all the charts on the website for the sets, it's not going to show you, but maybe like a few months back, it's not going to show you 2024 to 2025. Like, you can't get that chunk of data from TCG Player, at least that I'm aware. So I'm wondering what data, and if you can see here, these two numbers are completely different. So the thing I really like about DeepSeek is it'll show you what it's doing. It'll literally talk to itself and talk to you while it's going, and it'll you can see it correct itself. And then it'll spit out your answer, which is what I think is the best part of DeepSeek so far that I've messed with, is it shows you its thinking and how it's thinking. Now, a lot of these too as well, for example, DeepSeek, I had to connect it to the internet, and if you don't connect it to the internet, the farthest back data it'll give you is like October 2023. So I had to tell it to pull from current, I had to basically give it instructions to pull from current data, and I tried to overwrite its, I can't remember what it called it, but it said it couldn't push that list any further, but that it could take online resources and list them, but it can't give real market data, so you have to kind of word it strangely so that it will give you the real-time data kind of. But I think there is still some missing information or some information being held back. Other than that, I mean, just something that, again, guys, this is new technology that, again, if you're not using it properly, it's pretty much useless, and you're just going to be bashing you're just going to get random BS kind of spit at you. But if you can really dig in, ask the right questions, you can essentially use this to figure out what's the highest selling sets, the least selling sets. Again, you can't ask it like I tried this, right? And it just doesn't work. What's the most undervalued set? It can, all it's going to do, right, is just kind of go through websites of people who have wrote their thesis on what they think the most undervalued set is, and it's going to kind of compile that for you. So it's somewhat useful, but again, as we know, there's so many subjective people when it comes to Pokemon. There's so much subjective nonsense on the internet when it comes to Pokemon that if you ask it these subjective questions, I mean, it's going to find just all sorts of nonsense online, right? So again, these tools are only as powerful as the person using them. Again, if you were clicking on this video to, if you thought this was going to be one of those scams where there's now AI arbitrage bots that can find you arbitrage and da-da-da-da-da. Arbitrage is easy to find in Pokemon, I'll admit. It's definitely more of a thing than it is in the stock market, but that stuff's already exists. There's already bots that can do that. That's pretty simple stuff. But again, if you're using AI, at least right now, I think the best thing you can use AI for when it comes to Pokemon is just data gathering, just as much information compiling as possible. It's not really going to give you these magical answers. You're not going to just start printing money. You can't just go to AI and go, I thought it was funny. Like, if you could just go to AI and be like, set me up a Bitcoin scheme and have all the Bitcoin sent to this wallet, and it just like would literally create a Bitcoin scheme and implement it for you, and then have all the Bitcoin go to that wallet. Like, it doesn't work that way. I wish it did, but sorry, it doesn't. But anyway, guys, check out DeepSeek, check out other AI, expand your horizons. Again, you're not just gonna get infinite wisdom, but if you ask the right questions, you'll find some pretty cool information and data that you might be surprised to see. But that's all I got for today, guys. I'm still getting over this cold. I'm really sorry. I'm like chugging Dayquil, so I'm not like coughing on camera, but we'll get back to it. I know I need to make my Flesh and Blood update. But other than that, have a good one, guys.